Hey
Hello.
girl,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I'm on my last leg of my travel, so I'm at a hotel room.
Oh my gosh.
So I think
How's your
some
trip
of the
going?
girls did it, some were confused. So I figured you probably have some stuff to look over, right, with them today?
So we can do one of two things. We can either look over the ones that did. I think I
Logan,
got two.
yeah,
Oh, I don't know if I saw Logan's. Hold on.
yeah. Logan tagged you in the Facebook group, and then I think Haley submitted her Instagram for you 4 days
She
ago.
did submit her Instagram.
Okay,
Oh
good.
yes, Logan's was the one I saw.
And then,
Logan and then Yvonne.
okay, yeah.
So we can go over those or also prepare like KPIs that each individual should be looking at and how that works based on their goals.
Why don't
So
you
we could
ask
go
them
over,
each? Like
okay,
Logan did submit, so maybe she said she's
okay.
sitting here and listening right now. So Haley's
Okay.
first. I think Yvonne's gonna catch the replay. Jen will be here though. Jen will be here.
Hmm. Yeah.
Haley, hi.
Hello.
Your hair's herring again.
Thank you. I showered. It just,
I mean, that's nice. Thanks. We all appreciate it. Logan's finishing getting ready. So Amanda was I think we can give it a couple more minutes for Jen to hop on and then I
Oh,
think Yvonne's catching a replay. So
yeah.
I told her I was on my last leg back. I have after y'all's meeting, I have a 2 hour drive, 2.5 hour drive, and I'm home. And I'm so excited. So excited to be home. If you didn't know, I was at a wilderness retreat, Amanda. So I've been sleeping in my car for a lot of days
Oh my
without you.
gosh. I cannot imagine it.
It was good though.
Yeah.
And then I came to
Um,
with my family and I was like, I cannot breathe because I'm not used to the smoke.
yeah. Well, okay, so Logan and Haley, I was saying that we can do one of two things today. I have Logan's messaging and Yvonne's, and I know Yvonne is going to catch the replay. What we can do is we can either go over those today, or I can do what I intentionally initially planned, which was review them and then post a video in the Facebook group. And then those of you that didn't have a chance yet to do it could still put it in there, and get that feedback. And then we can go over KPIs. I prepared some stuff with KPIs and like what each of you should be tracking based on your goals and how that kind of works. Or we could just go over the messaging that got submitted already today. So it's kind of up to you guys what you feel like you need most.
Can each person decide, or would that not be enough
Um,
time for that?
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that might be good because like if you're good because you're going over individual KPIs or you're doing a general KPI training.
Um, it was pretty short, so we could probably do both potentially.
Logan said I'm along for the ride on this. Oh, hold on one
Um,
second. I'm gonna take this, you guys. Give me 1 second.
Haley, I don't know if you have a preference of whether you'd rather see me go through messaging or KPIs.
mm, I'm really down for either. I think walking through the messaging might be
Hmm.
helpful. Because
Okay.
I like started doing it and I submitted the Google form, but I was a little confused if the form was where we submitted the messaging or
Hmm.
yeah. And then after that point, I just got slammed and wasn't able to like completely finish it. Um, After that window I had, basically we were in airports all day, so I was just trying to like
Okay.
get some stuff out. So I don't know. I think like walking through practically like the messaging might be helpful, but
Okay.
I'm down for I'm here for the ride, so as well.
Okay. And Jen, I see you nodding your head. What's that? You want to see the messaging?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Okay.
Walking through the messaging because I think we have Danielle who can help us with KPIs and like, tracking what she feels. So I would say messaging.
Okay. Perfect. I can do that. My screen. So Logan, and full disclosure, because these just got submitted, I have not had a chance to look at them all yet. So this will be my first look too. Um, Nailing down what the real problem is. Okay, perfect. So looking at, can everyone see this?
I know
fairly
it looks
clearly.
kind of like not great, but that was the
No,
best.
that's okay. This was totally meant for you to do whatever worked best for your brain. So no, this is great. Can everyone see it though and see what she wrote? Okay, perfect. So, starting with the transformation from thinking you'll have to live out of a storage unit when your home sells to having a strategic plan in place. And this is the one that you said you're not really sure, like problem wise, like what's the
Yeah,
okay.
because I would say that's like the biggest thing I hear, but then we get some unique responses, and I am not on that side of it. Anytime I bought or sold, I've been my own agent, so I haven't really thought about that, if that makes sense.
Okay. Um, do you often hear people saying they're worried about their house selling before they're in another place?
Yeah, I have this girl. I'm specifically thinking of her. This is probably going to help you because
Okay.
she is an ideal client of mine. She has a house to sell in Purcell, which is like a really small town here, and everybody knows everybody. And she feels comfortable with me, which is important to know because she's not an online lead. So I don't have to build like no trust with her because I already have. And even with like no trust, she's like, no, I don't want you to come over and tell me what my house is worth just yet because I honestly don't even know, number one, how I'm going to buy because I don't have the money. But she doesn't understand that she does because it's the equity in her house. And so we got over that hurdle. And then she's like, there's so many repairs I have to do, and I don't know where we would go. Like, it's almost like she doesn't want to sell. Like, that's how it seems a lot of times, but they do because they have to. Like, she's having a baby and she doesn't have another bedroom for her. But she's like, and I just can't with all the kids and dogs. Where would we go? And getting across to them that, like, you pack up the day before closing and then you can stay in the house on an airbed, and then the next day we'll close at noon. Like you don't have to stay in a hotel or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's usually how they
Mhm.
feel.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is it's the logistics that they feel overwhelmed by.
Yeah.
The how to prepare your house, how to afford to buy the next house, um, getting ready to sell, and the logistics of getting into the next house and just transitioning from one house to another.
Definitely. Yes.
Okay. And then I first up
I'm sorry. Also, I would usually not be doing this, but my videographer had an appointment come open for 1 p.m. today, and it's like really last minute rushing around. So,
they're all good. Um, selling and buying at the same time. Need to sell the thing. There are too many repairs here.
if you can't read it, tell me.
No, I totally can. You're good. Continue
Okay.
to have a far commute. Da, 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 da. Okay, so I really want you to narrow in on this ideal client of they're having to sell and buy at the same time. They're not first time home buyers. They're not selling and then moving into like a retirement home or something. You're these people who are they need to sell and buy at the same time, whether it's relocation or um, they need a bigger home or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
And I would assume that most of them, they're probably honestly most likely second time home buyers, right?
Yeah.
They've bought once, but they've never done the selling process. They've never done the sold and bought at the same time. Okay, so most likely second time home buyers. Um, I think you've nailed it with you've got a really good idea of like, okay, here's what the problem is, right? But
Yeah.
the root cause, I'm not sure that it's fear or embarrassing feelings, maybe. I mean, I think that may crop up, but I'm not sure that's the root cause. So I'd love to hear more about if we're thinking about the overwhelm aspect and all of the things that they have questions on.
Yeah.
What does that really drill down to? And if anyone has thoughts for her, like feel free to pop in if you've been in this experience. But I'm just thinking when we bought our second time,
Yeah, that's just
I
typically
mean,
what I
what
get.
if their
Well,
their first experience, right, wasn't with what sets the Hagen team apart, right? So if they're not a first-time home buyer, they probably did experience this chaos with their last real estate agent. So I think the root cause is that they actually did experience that, and that's why the Hagen home team difference is that it is smooth, that you do have this in place for them, that you are filling the gap. So I think the root cause is that they really went through that. Like that was not a good experience with them before, possibly Logan agree or disagree. And like that's what makes the Hagen team experience different is that you are educating them and you are making sure it's a smooth transition and that's what sets you apart.
yeah, I agree with that. And then a lot of times too, we hear like it's almost like the same things. Like they're like, well, my friend just sold and it was crazy. Like this is actually a real deal. I just heard this last week. And she was like, girl, it was so crazy. Like they had to put their dogs in a boarding facility and then closing got pushed and they had to stay in a hotel. And it was just like crazy as hell. And we don't want to deal with that. Like we just don't want to deal with that. And so they're like, we don't know if we like sell now. And when they're talking, like sometimes honestly, I'm like, I just dissociate because I'm like, is really not even like that. Like, we're just going to, there's two avenues that you have. Like, you can buy first or sell first. Which one seems less stressful? If you're not picky, let's list your house first and then go buy a house. And it's literally like that easy. But it's not easy enough to, like, my industry's hard. There's no one problem. They just always kind of start spiraling out, and I have to let them and then go into it by saying, well, you don't have to do any of that. We're actually going to be able to either list first or buy first. Are you a picky buyer? If they say no, I know exactly what I want. Great, we're going to list first, and then we're going to set closing for noon the next day on your old house, 1 o'clock on the new house, and then that night before, you just sleep in an airbed, have everything in the truck outside. My friend Paula has a moving company. You get to even plug in your refrigerator and your dogs can stay in the car at closing with the windows down. John will come with me and hang out with them. Like it's just not that hard.
So I think
okay,
like
so
we make content. Sorry, Amanda, my mind just went blank. And this is you. I'm going to be quiet after this. Sorry. But I was thinking like that's what I was saying. That's where I feel like you're saying I can't relate to that because that's not the experience with our company. And I feel like people need to hear that. And I mean, even telling those stories of like the nightmare things that you've heard and being like, I can't even associate with that because it's not the case when you work with us.
Hmm.
Okay, Amanda, you follow. Sorry, but that kind of validated what I was saying, Logan.
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm hearing A, what your company does is so much more than just buying and selling. It's the entire transition process, which I think is a really key messaging topic you need to be nailing. Like,
Okay.
yes, we help you buy and sell. We help second time home buyers who are scared of the chaos of this, and we help keep it smooth and simple for you. And we walk you through the entire process. Like that is key messaging that it's not just buying and selling with us. It's so much more. What I'm also hearing is that this consequences of not working with you is life disruption. And all of those stories, instead of disassociating, I want you to really listen. And then after you're done talking to that client, write down. Because that's all messaging you can talk about. Like those are all like really specific examples
Okay.
you can use in your marketing. Um, and so think of it as like instead of like, oh, this isn't gonna happen with us, like just work with me. Like, okay, how can I instead use this in my marketing? Um, And then, but yes, the consequence of not working with you is life disruption. That's really what people are most
Oh,
worried about.
I like that. Thank you.
Yeah. They want it to be smooth. They don't want it to be chaotic, right? Like buying and selling a house to an extent is always gonna be a little chaotic, but like we want the people we're working with to tell us it's gonna be easy, it's gonna be smooth. Like I'm just thinking, and I think Danielle nailed it when like the first experience probably wasn't the best experience that
Hmm.
they had. Like I'm thinking the first time we bought versus the second time, and like I feel like our case was weird because we were like moving across the country and we bought sight unseen, but like
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's tough.
crazy. But our agent was amazing. And like she made the process so smooth considering all of this stuff. So it's like, oh, that is exactly like what that is. What I want to keep drilling down though is why do they not want life disruption? What is it that is so painful to them about life disruption? And that's going to be that root cause, right? It's not the surface level, like, oh, I'm embarrassed by what my house looks like. But why is life disruption? Why is this consequence and this problem of I've got all these questions and I don't know how to do buying and selling at the same time. What is that root cause?
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely something I have to think on pretty good. And it does help though, like to think about those specific, like I wrote some last names down on that
Yeah.
when it was think about people that you really liked working with. And John and I kind of sat down and like the Schwartz family is our favorite family that we've ever worked with ever. We've had 11 referrals on them in the last 3 years, which turned out to be nearly, I think it was like $160,000 in income because they just kept referring people to us. And then
Mm-hmm.
those people were referred to us. We call it like a oak tree. And they're just like really cool people. They come to our kids' birthday parties now. But yeah, they're the coolest. But I feel like when I'm thinking of Patrick and Christina Schwartz, why would they not want root disruptions? Because they take their careers really seriously too. And if their house is astray, then they look like idiots at work and they're pissed at me now because they're like, no, like we run a business and it's a very serious one. And they are baseball coaches too, and they have a little league of their own, if you will. And if that's like, I'm just gonna say this, like lack of a better way to say this, if that's fucked up and their house is fucked up, then everything is fucked up, and they're pissed. So I guess that could be it. Yeah.
It's that right there, right? That if my house is in chaos, then every area of my life becomes chaos. And they
Thank you.
want to keep it, you want to keep life as smooth as possible, right? Like, you don't want the buying and selling of your home and your environment, because let's be real, our environment impacts the rest of our life so much, which is another great key messaging point for you, right?
Hmm.
Um, our environment impacts that the rest of our life so much, and what you guys do is you help keep it as smooth as possible so that they don't have that life disruption.
Cool.
So, let's see. I also think, and so we're talking messaging right now, right? And like overall messaging, and you can come up with so many examples and all of these stories, but you could go to the Schwartz and go, why did you guys love working with us? And like ask those questions to them and see how they phrase it. Because however they're telling people is working, right? Like whatever phrasing and messaging they're using specifically is
Yeah.
working because you've had so many referrals. So, like, you know now what this overarching like messaging should look like. And there's so many ways you can use that. But then also going, oh, but how did you phrase it? Like, and you asking them that. Yeah, leaving a testimonial, but also just
I think
comment
they
like,
have. It's probably old though. It's probably like 3 or 4 years old.
yeah.
Yeah.
But just knowing that in the back of your mind as you're creating content of like, oh, what was it about us that they loved and how did they phrase it specifically?
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
okay. Okay, so then going to the transformation. Um, I love that you got so specific here, but I actually want to pull us back a little bit and think more overarching. So from the chaos of trying to buy and sell at the same time to a simplified moving process from start to finish or something like that. Like
Okay.
really nailing down like, okay, this is where your difference comes into play, really, is like you can work with these other people and you're going to get the life disruption, but life disruption probably isn't going to be the phrasing that your people
Okay.
will connect with, right? But from chaos of trying to buy and sell at the same time to simple, smooth, easy, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we handled the hard stuff. I love that.
Yeah, that
Um,
was so hard without
send
ChatGPT.
help.
Freaking gosh. So I was typing it out on my computer to make it make more sense. And John was like, why can't we just say no bullshit? I was like, because we can't say things like that.
I mean,
That's
you
why.
could.
If it was up to him, we would. But I feel like if I were on my own, yeah, I would. But I would hate to see like my preacher is my number one, like out organic guy. And I have three deals at the church right now. And I'm just like, I'm very Southern, I guess, with all the things. Like, I'll probably say the F word 25 times today, but then I'm going to do my Bible study before I go to bed. So I don't really want them to see that. But I don't know if no nonsense is goofy. Like, this was just hard. I'm obviously I talk a lot and I have a lot of words, so I couldn't nail that down.
I mean, I think you did a pretty good job of nailing it down. None of this messaging, to be clear, guys, is necessarily meant to be used public facing. This is for
Okay.
you and your brains as you're creating content to use. Um, and so like from X to Y, I encouraged you to do it in one sentence
Okay.
for your own brains, but this is all more so for your own personal. As I'm creating content, what am I talking about?
Okay.
What do I need to make sure the pain points that I'm hitting? What is it that they're really worried about, and how can I create content around that? But I like that you don't need to know it all. We've got your back, right? We help handle the hard stuff, and maybe instead of I don't dislike no nonsense, to be clear, but you could also say with no chaos or no think of another.
Okay, I just had an idea. Tell me if this is good or cheesy. Avoid out of pocket and maximize your profit. So because people say, "Oh, I'm out of pocket. I'm dislocated, like I'm out of my office, I'm out of my home, I'm unreachable." Like that's one of their fears, right? Especially with their businesses. So at the Hagen Home Team, we help you avoid out of pocket to maximize your profit. Meaning like, and you can expand on that of what it means. Because when you think avoid out of pocket, you think of just money. But the reality is out of pocket could be like they feel displaced. They feel like they're being pulled different ways. Their home office is a disarray, like all those things. Like we have vendors like these moving companies, etc., right? To help you avoid being out of pocket, which means out of commission, disruption of your day to day, and also maximize your profits. Those are the two like things that you talked about. I don't know if you guys like that or if it's too like money related, but I think if you expanded on it, Logan, it'd be kind of cute.
Yeah. I think it makes sense. And that's probably where, unfortunately, it would need a chat GPT or something. I don't know.
I'm
I
saying
think,
like a one-liner, right? Being like at the
yeah.
Logan, like at the Hagen Home Team, we help avoid the out of pocket and maximize your profit. And what that means is like disruption, the day-to-day out of pocket of this is here and I'm living in a hotel and my dogs are being boarded to maximizing your profit at closing and making sure that everything runs smoothly. So not only do we help you with the transition, but we also help you increase your profitability from your sale or for your closing costs or whatever. So I think you could find a way to like phrase it that way. But I was
Yeah.
thinking for a one-liner, like she was saying, it could kind of use that as like your little slogan is like avoid out of pocket and maximize your profit or something like that. But I think
Something
you
like
have to
that.
figure out how that makes sense for your business.
Yeah, I do like that.
Let's see. Okay. Any specific questions, Logan? I feel like you've got a really great handle on this and a good starting point for content.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I just think it was super beneficial. I know we were all like really confused, but then I think the workbook also I like that a lot. Um, but and I like really did do all the things like even beyond what you guys see. I was like, I'm gonna take pictures before I really start getting in it. And I think it's great. I did post a my messaging that you were like it's not necessarily for the public. I wanted to see because I didn't know what I was doing, what the public would think of it. I posted that and I did get an inquiry for somebody that has to sell their property. And then last week, like Monday or Tuesday, one of the goals that Danielle had for me for this before my next call was to get in Facebook groups and post myself to see if I can get any leads. I got an agent referral off of like my whole situation that I posted in our Facebook group. And I'm interviewing her this Thursday because she is out of town. So I'll update and see how that goes. Yeah, but that's pretty cool. So
It's
thank you, man.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yep.
Okay, so I can do Yvonne's next because I know she did submit, but Jen, Haley, I don't know if you guys we could talk through things, or I since you didn't have a chance to actually submit, or you could, if you got any of it done, we could go through some of it. That's Haley, I think you're muted, love.
Every time. Okay. I did get a little bit of it done. I just didn't get it like submitted. I was struggling a little bit with the root cause because wedding photography is like a little different. It's like the problem's not that they're getting married. Like that's a great, and so it's like I've done actually a very similar thing to this, like the workbook, and like a past coaching thing I did. And I feel like, and it was for photographers, but I still felt like the phrase of saying they have a problem isn't necessarily like there will be problems arise later if they
Mhm.
don't get a good photographer. I've talked to so many people who are like, I regret so much like not getting a different photographer. And so it's more of like avoiding future problems. They have a need a photographer. And so I think I've almost felt like I need a little hand holding or something because I was like, why can't my brain do this?
Yeah.
Probably because I've also been so busy. Like I feel like I haven't just had time to like sit with it. Um, but yeah, so like rephrasing the pain point, like kind of what I had said was like, okay, they need a wedding photographer. They want like the people we're really advertising to are the people who want one that they can count on. Like we're going to be more like friends. Like we want to like actually support them as they get married. And it's like timeless photo and video. And like, yeah, because on their wedding day, like we're up in their business all day. And I've also had people that were like, my photographer was so awkward, like they were like rude or they weren't very personable. They were just kind of there. And like they were like, oh, I wish it wasn't that way because we're with you all day. So you want someone, you know, that you like with you all day. I just wasn't, I like know how to verbalize that. I just didn't know how to like put it into the messaging. So that was kind of where I was like stuck, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So tell me the difference that you have been working on with Danielle. Like what is the your difference? What makes you guys different as photographers?
I mean, kind of what I said, like we really want to like show up is not just like another vendor there, but like we want actually like we say one of the things we say is we want to serve and celebrate you. So like we're gonna serve you so like you feel so loved, but also we're gonna celebrate. We're not just there to serve, we're also like this is
Mm,
your wedding day. So like whatever you need to be celebrated that day, like that's what we want to bring to your day. Not in a distracting way, but in a way that just enhances like the moments. And so that's one thing we're really like big on. And then I mean, I do feel like our photo and video is timeless. Like it's not, I mean, of course there's some trendy things, but like in 10 years it's probably still going to be timeless. And so I think those are two things.
okay. And when you think of those ideal clients that you've had in the past, what are the things that they have in common?
I mean, it's like kind of hard because some of them are very different people.
Mhm.
We just kind of like I guess my favorite clients were the ones we just really like vibed with. Like I was like I like there were two clients and we just absolutely loved them. We actually like gave them a discount because we liked them so much. We were like, we have
Mhm.
to shoot your wedding day. And it was like last November. And after the wedding, we were like, literally, we had a moment where we were doing couples photos and we are like, can we be friends after this? Like, and it was just, I feel like I did such a good job on the photography because we were all just like, it was just so fun all day. And then, but they weren't necessarily the paying client I was looking for. But as far as like, okay, actual more of like the luxury, like the venue wise, and clients we like, there were some this past April, they got married in Texas
Mhm.
and they were so sweet. They were like Latina and I speak Portuguese, they spoke Spanish, and so we like had some moments there. Um, they like were also Christians, like they loved the Lord. Like their whole wedding was just all about Jesus. And we actually
Mhm.
connected with them because of like a church network we're in. Like that's how they found us. But they also like hired us for photo and video without thinking about it, like chose our most, booked package.
Mhm.
And it's sometimes it's hard because like the people I want to shoot their wedding, like I'm like, I love you so much, but they can't afford me. And then there's like, okay, the people with the price range, like, oh yeah, they can afford me and still have like that relationship. So
Mhm.
I don't know. That was kind of verbally processing. But I'm trying to think of like actual things because it's like they're all different ethnicities, all different backgrounds. It's like hard to find a piece other than like how much they can pay for weddings.
What about are there personality traits? Like if you were making a Venn diagram
Hmm.
of your favorite couples, what are the personality traits that you would be like, wow, they all have this thing?
Typically, they're a little bit more playful, though I've had some pretty like chill clients that I really love. So, gosh, that's like so hard because I feel like I'm really adaptable to different people.
Mhm.
Like Marcus and I are the hype ones, but we're pretty adapt like when it comes to other people. But I do feel like their wedding day is more focused on the relationships. A lot more focused on like obviously they want it to be beautiful, and so do I because you know, the better, like the more like it's just easier for photos, but I feel like they're really focused on like the intentional things of the day. So, like for example, like different first looks, like that they have, or just really intentional time with each other that's like just them two. Yeah, I feel like the intentionality, it's not all about like the material things, it's about the relational things with their families. I think I really enjoy shooting weddings where they have a lot of family moments where I'm not directing, I'm just like there. And so they're having a moment with their grandpa or things like that. So, but usually I think our favorite ones are couples that are a little more like fun, like a little lively. Like I'm gonna tell them to frolic in a field, like the bride and all of her bridesmaids, and they're like full send frolicking. Like those are kind of our people. So
Okay. So I'm gonna say this and Danielle might be like, no, I don't agree with that at all. Um, but what I'm hearing you talk about
hmm
when you're describing your ideal client, and then what I hear you say as far as like what you shoot
hmm
are different. So you're talking like, I want fun, I want playful, but then you're like, but we're timeless photography. And while they can be both, I think when you use the phrase timeless, you're attracting more of a reserved crowd.
Mm.
So even though like you're shooting photography that they're gonna love forever,
Right. As
I
far as
think
the
the
editing
phrase,
goes.
yeah,
Yeah, because the editing I would say is very timeless. The poses are pretty playful. Is that what
right.
you're like the
Uh,
posing editing?
I'm talking about more of just your messaging.
Okay.
Like using the phrase timeless, I think is gonna attract people who want more traditional, like
hmm
reserve, like that. When I think of the word timeless, that's what I'm thinking. Yes, more traditional.
Okay.
That's what I'm
Okay.
thinking of. And
hmm
I know in your bio you've got like bright and playful photo. And um I think there's a decent amount on your Instagram that's fun and playful, but I think there's also some that like don't necessarily reflect the fun and playful. Like I would love to see you using more of that, um, just like the playful, the fun, the exciting poses, like the relational versus like here's a bride coming down the stairs. One that lives on for generations. I like that. I think
Yeah.
that's a much better way to say that versus like timeless editing.
hmm
Um, because yeah, I just when I think timeless, I don't think bright and playful, and I think more like
Right.
black and white style, more traditional, and I don't think that's who you're trying to attract.
Okay.
Um, I also think like let me share my screen real quick.
I don't know if that's making sense, Haley, what I'm trying to say, but like I kind of see what she's saying by how like timeless kind of goes more like I would think like the traditional poses, like the things that people, but then I'm thinking the idea when we're saying that, Haley, both of us are saying that it's something that lives on for generations. So maybe
Right.
that would speak more to like, oh my gosh, like I'm building this legacy with my dream husband. And like I think when I look at your photos, like even your gallery here, it's like your life is living on for generations. Like you're capturing the energy of the day and encapsulating that for generations to come. Something like
Right.
that would if that makes sense. But Amanda, I kind of like that you said that because I could see where timeless doesn't speak to that fun, bubbly bride.
Yeah.
I
I
think
think like
I agree with all of that too. Like it didn't even click, and then once you said that, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think maybe more too is like true to color, like versus timeless because I try to keep everything very like because I feel like true to color is timeless. Like it's what your day looked like. But I think yeah, the kind of connotation of timeless.
I think though you're focusing a lot on the editing style and your brides, they don't care what phrases you're using for your editing style. Like they
Hmm.
want to see the photos speak for
Right.
themselves, you know? Um, what you need to be focused on more so is their day and how they feel and those relational aspects and the fun and the bright. Like this photo right here, I think is a great one to have on your feed. It's bright, it's fun, it's got the relationships. Like these are all the things that you're really focused on, right?
Hmm.
This one, the triumphant, like bouquet in the air feeling, like that's the kind of vibe that you're putting out, right? But
Hmm.
then we've got like this one. It's beautiful. It's cute. That to me feels more timeless and reserved, even though it's bright.
Hmm.
It's more of that traditional feeling versus like if instead you had a picture where he's like spinning her around or something like
Right.
that.
And actually if you scroll, there are a lot of like there I just thought that one was just so sweet. Like even I think the second one, they're like laughing in probably like 75% of the photos.
Yeah.
Um,
I would say that this one probably speaks more to the person you're trying to attract, though, than this one does. Even though it's beautiful. And I'm not saying don't take these pictures, and I'm not saying don't do that editing. But as far as your outward messaging and your outward content, I think this is going to speak more to them.
And this is kind of what I told Haley. I did some research, when we first started working together, because she kept using the word like luxury market. So I was looking at like what the people were considering like luxury Oklahoma photographers, and they all had that like boring black and white like real video at the top of their feed. And I was like, Haley's page is fun and bubbly, and it's like, if anything, we talked about how her album, like her sales page is IG and it needs to be her website. Like there needs to be more of these type of pictures like really highlighted all over the site. But yeah, I think the thing that sets you apart, Haley, is you're bubbly, you're cute, you're funny. Like the video, I was waiting for the girls to give you feedback. Like I don't think it's too much. Like
okay.
I do think that showcasing your personality, like I want someone like that that's going to be there on my wedding day, not someone who's vanilla. Like I love like the photographer I was going to hire. She advertised herself as photos that don't suck. And like that was literally her tagline for everything like on her business card. And I was like, I just love that. Like I want someone that's different and fun and energetic. And I think your crowd of people who are drawn to you, these young couples, are wanting adventure, and your pictures show adventure. They show playfulness, they show connection, genuine connection, not vanilla. Like those are all things I think you have to think about is tying that in. And I think the word romantic though does fit your vibe because it is romantic to be spun around in a field. It is romantic to have a picnic
So
in the middle of the field. They'd be on a cute
one
canoe.
Yeah, so one thing I'm talking to my website girl because we're doing some revamping. And I do like the romantic thing because basically how I post people a lot of times is I'm like, we're gonna act out a Hallmark movie. Like I love Hallmark movies. I always have. Like truly like let's go. And I get a lot of this sounds so silly, but I get a lot of inspiration from Hallmark movies. And so when I like, especially this one, like that I did, I was like, okay, you met 2 weeks ago. Let's just like lay on a blanket, like, fall into one another, like things like that. That's how I literally pose people is like acting out Hallmarky type things. And so I am there for the romantics, like, because they're all the guys, they're like rolling their eyes, and all the girls are like, oh, I love Hallmark movies. And so they're like acting all silly. And so, um, yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. So yeah, that's one thing I was actually just talking to Audrey about. And then Marcus, like, we need to like do like play off of the Hallmark thing. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm also like, as you're talking, I'm thinking like, you could talk about how like the best relationships start as friendships and like that connection piece and focusing on that as well because like that you love the relational aspect and that connection aspect. And it's like, you want people who have great friendships and are fun and playful. You want to build that kind of relationship with them, and you want to photograph their relationships with other people. Like it's like this trifecta of like connection and relationships. But like this photo, this should be the one that's front and center on the feed. Like they're having so much fun together, and yet it's so loving and it's so cute and it's so bright and bubbly and playful. And like these are all gorgeous. Like these are all what you want in your final gallery, right?
Mhm.
Um, but just that fun, like, look at this. This is like it's so just like heartwarming and bright and bubbly.
Mhm.
Um, and like this, I would almost say like maybe instead of this cover,
Mhm.
having an image where they're like laughing and walking as the
And I
petals are
have
flowing.
a amazing image of this because I have the
Mhm.
photos. This was a video. I could not figure out how to change the cover because it was like postcards. Like because you scroll and it's like a bunch of
Mhm.
single videos, and I, for the
Oh,
life of me, could not figure out how to change it. So,
gotcha.
Almost like even playing off of that, being like we bring the confetti to your day, like because you're
mm,
talking about being the party and like the energy and the,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Like there's so much that this is like totally
Yes.
psyching me up. We have to slow down because Marcus is gonna be like, what the holy heck? But um, truly, like I think like you're worried about being too playful, and I think that that's your asset, not working against you. Like I think that
Mhm.
the more that you showcase, the more that you are, the more people are going to want you, the right people are going
This.
to choose you as your
Gorgeous.
photographer.
right.
Yes.
That's the photo.
This. This is so cute of you guys. Like this is what you want on your feed. Like this fun, playful, giant smiles. Like that is your unique value proposition, right? That like we're gonna give you photos that make you feel joyful.
Mm,
You're gonna have photos of your day that when you look at them, you look back on all the fun moments and go, wow, our wedding was so great. You
hmm.
know?
Yeah.
Um, that being said, I think the problem is I think you're right. I mean, it's Logan's was also kind of like that, where it's like you're really trying to stave off like a future problem, essentially, or like if someone went with someone else, this would be the problem they would run into, right? Like it's not necessarily like what's the problem you have right now.
Hmm.
Um, but I think a large part of that, um, okay, a large part of that problem is like photos that feel stale, that don't feel that don't bring you to life. Okay,
Hmm.
Danielle says we got to pivot. So, but I think that's really like a big like for you. It's you don't want just stale photos. You don't want photos that are just pretty, right?
Hmm.
You're gonna take pretty photos, but you don't want them to just be pretty.
Right. And I really like that because I think I've struggled a little bit with really like artsy photographers. Like there are a couple of photographers in OKC and like they're incredibly artsy, but I
Mhm.
don't, I feel like, yeah, you could hang it on a wall, but it doesn't feel like there's life, if that makes sense.
Yes, 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 yes. That right there.
And you just used the word life, which is what I had put up there
Yeah.
previously. I just think that something along those lines would be good is bringing like, what did I say? It was
Life
life
that
that
lives
lives
on.
on for generations, like the life of your pictures, the life of your day that because I think that's the thing is like if you think about even looking at like retreat pictures and stuff, like I want energy. I want hugs and laughter and like you only want so much of that still photography for that type of thing. Like you want candid
Right.
style photos and
Yes.
I feel like even though you're having them pose and do stuff, it's kind of candid because they're laughing, they're thinking they're being silly and it turns out to be the best picture, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
photos that like you create photos that when it's a rainy, gloomy day outside, someone looks at their wall and like they feel that joy.
Right. Cool. Well, thank you. That was really helpful.
Um, Danielle, by pivot, did you mean move on to Jen? Did you mean
Yeah,
you
just
needed
because
to
you
take
have Jen
over?
and you have
Okay,
Yvonne, and I check out at my room at 12, so I want us to stay on track, and I don't want them to run out of time.
perfect.
So
Okay.
if that's okay,
Yeah.
hey, I feel like that was good. Logan, I feel like that was good. I can't wait to see you. Tell us what you're doing in the chat, Logan, if you have a minute, or in the WhatsApp later, what you're creating content for today, because I feel like I want to know all about it.
Okay, Jen. What
Yeah.
have you
So I
made?
had a little trouble just kind of like Haley said, I was kind of in the same boat. I just had a little bit of trouble like focusing. So I'd love to just kind of talk it through for a
Yeah.
couple minutes. And so I've gone through some of the prompts and like my core my root problems are like burnout, staff turnover, disconnected teams, employees who are struggling with mental health. So that's kind of like the root problem. And then my solution is like the wellness, wellness presentations, wellness groups. Um, and that unique kind of proposition is my background as a therapist and kind of coming in with that expertise to support teams. So that's kind of like for me, like I know that I have that, and then it's just a matter of like how do I kind of position that?
Hmm. Um, what is when so you're working with teams. I assume the team leader comes to you or
Hmm.
someone sent by the team leader.
Yep.
Why? What makes them reach out?
So usually it is dissatisfaction with staff, burnout, turnover, they're losing employees, a lot of high conflict in the workplace. So they are reaching out because they don't know how to best support their employees.
Okay. So they're seeing, I'm just thinking like root cause, sorry. They're seeing a workplace that feels stressful, that feels um like they don't even want to come into work
Hmm.
each day.
Yep.
Um, what happens if they don't get help?
They lose employees.
Okay, but what about the ones who have come to you because turnover's already high?
They can't find people to fill the positions.
Okay.
They're
And
struggling
when they
with their own jobs.
okay. So
Struggling. They can't find people to fill positions, which makes them struggle with their own job because they're having to what?
Probably do more.
Okay. So that root cause is your team, because you're losing people, because your team is dissatisfied, because XYZ, the root cause of them coming to you and the root cause of those problems is that the workplace is stressful, that the workplace is unsatisfactory, that the energy around
Hmm.
the office is off, right? But then the consequence of them continuing is that they're not going to be able to do their own job because they're so busy trying to teach new team members, onboard them. They're so busy trying to do the jobs of people who they can't find replacements for that they're not going to have time to do their own job and do their own job well.
Hmm.
So, what would you say when it comes to the things that your ideal clients have in common? What is that?
I think I struggle with that a little bit because I'm trying to appeal to the leadership team, but it's usually the employees that I'm trying to attract myself to, if that makes sense. So I have this like internal struggle of I know who I'm supposed to be talking to because the leadership is the ones who are hiring me, but I think my messaging usually resonates a little bit more with the employee who's struggling with burnout.
When
what happens though? What's like the journey for an employee struggling with burnout that finds you?
Mm, so they're usually like their work-life balance is not where it needs to be. They are missing out on family time. They are, um, not enjoying the job that they used to do. Um, yeah.
But they find you and then what? How do you help them?
Well, I think that they resonate with, so they're not hiring me because I need to be hired by the leadership team.
Mhm.
So they are, so they're just kind of in my audience. They're not really doing anything. They're not serving a purpose right now.
Okay, so is the idea to create something that helps them serve a purpose, or
Not
should you
right
be
now.
in your messaging?
Not right now. So it's to strengthen my messaging.
I think you need to stop speaking to the employee and that burnout side and start
Right.
speaking more towards the leadership. So,
Which I've made that shift, but I'm struggling to kind of figure out that messaging, I guess. So that shift has been made.
mhm.
Previously, I was talking to the wrong person. I'm now talking to the right person. However, I'm struggling with the messaging to attract the people that are going to hire me.
Yeah, so speaking to those problems of like,
Mhm.
this is what, are you taking on work for your team members?
Mhm.
Are you unable to do like talking to those specific examples of didn't get your own work done this week because you were too busy onboarding new team members, or you were too busy taking on the responsibilities of someone who has previously left, or your turnover rate is high. Like talking about those specific examples of problems
Okay.
is gonna be what you want to really focus on, of like, what is it they're seeing day to day in the workplace? What does it feel like when they walk into the office each week? What does it look like on their calendar each week? What does their to-do list look like? And what could it look like after working with you?
Okay.
Hi, Logan. Um, at the end of working with you, at the end of that training, then what?
Happier employees, more positive energy, employees that support one another, less turnover, staff retention.
And how does that affect leadership?
They get to do their own jobs.
Hmm. What else?
Mhm.
If they're doing their own jobs, then what?
I don't know. Anybody want to help me?
Well, okay, right. Like, have you ever heard like happy wife, happy life?
Yeah.
Right. So it's like the happiness of the leaders and the companies severely affect the actual ecosystem of the team, the healthiness of their employees, the intentions. I mean, the leadership is obviously just like if you have a poor, sour leader on a team, they're not going to have a success, unification, and winning, right? Leadership is key.
Mhm.
So also, I think if we talking about like, are you an overwhelmed leader who's carrying the weight of unhappy employees, right? Like that's, I think it's talking about that, especially in these bigger companies too. Like they have a boss, but their bosses don't know what they're having to deal with because they're the lower totem pole of the leader. And so then they're becoming burned out. And what happens is they get frustrated, which is a ripple effect. I almost think like a domino effect of showing like what happens when you have an unhappy leader and how that overflows. Um, Maybe because I think like, and I think like when you're talking, have you ever heard someone that's like, hey, business owner, like they start like every video like specifically talking, hey, my engaged couples, or are you someone who's recently engaged? Like I almost think like making sure your content is very specific, like, hey, leader, whatever, it's got to be in your voice, but like really calling it out, like, hey, are you a company manager? Are you like thinking about what those titles and roles would be and specifically talking to them is I think is kind of what she's saying. But I'm thinking about the domino effect, right? Like they're hearing from the top, your employees aren't performing well, da 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 da, da, and the employees are coming to them and complaining. So they're getting the leaders getting it from both sides. It's being sandwiched in with a bunch of bullshit, essentially, until it just, until it breaks. And so I think it's ultimately the overwhelmed leader is seeking help because they're overwhelmed and don't know how to help anybody. So I feel like that's where it is. It's like you're not just worried about your client retention, you're also worried about your overall wellness. And when your team's happy, you're happy, and then your upper management is happy. So I'm thinking like the domino effect. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
I see y'all shaking your head, so I think it's clicking.
I think I would challenge you, Jen, to spend some time really thinking about the psychographics of those ideal clients and what they have in common. Similar to what we were talking about with Haley, like what is the Venn diagram of what they all have in common? Because I think all of this is really important. The domino effect, the stress, the work-life balance, helping your people so you can help yourself. But what we haven't done well, and I think it probably comes down to just not having a very clear picture of your super ideal clients yet, um, is what is truly the motivation there. Like, what are they truly looking for in their jobs? Are they looking for to help the company grow? Are they looking to have like better relationships within the office? Are they looking to retain more employees? But then what does that retention do? Like, what is that deeper urge that they want out of their job? And I think if you can come up with that, that is going to be a really key difference for how you're steering your messaging. I think focusing on all the problems and how burnout is the solution or not burnout the solution, fixing burnout um, is the solution to a lot of these problems. I think that's a really great place to start. And then as you do more of these workshops, being able to find that common thread of like, what is it that they all have in common? But sometimes that just takes working with a lot of clients to figure out
I
first.
asked her, I put in the chat, but can we go back to past clients that have left some testimonials, Jen, and maybe asking in the right way? Like, hey, I'm really working on this to refine this growth. Can like, and maybe finding out the way we need to ask this question to see if we find a common thread. That
I
I
don't
think,
think I have enough Teams clients though. I
okay.
have a lot of individual, but with the pivot to focusing on teams, I just don't have enough.
Okay. Well, again, maybe we could, and I know you did a call for HR managers. Maybe I could connect you with, maybe we could each think of someone that we might know in the mastermind that we could connect you with. Then maybe we could have you ask those questions. Because like Angela is the one I talked to you about, the HR happy place. I think you should
Mhm.
set up a call with her.
Okay.
Be 20 minutes. Just say, Danielle told me I need to ask you some questions. I can even voice message you. I don't think she would mind.
Okay.
She works as an HR manager and now helps people who are HR managers. So I think she could
Okay.
be a good resource.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, just as a word of caution, Um, this is one of the things that you can't necessarily force. So if you don't have ideal clients to go back to, it's good information to have, especially to help get clients. But this may just be one of those things that it takes you some time. Like that, it takes all of us some time to really figure out like what is the overlap in all of my ideal clients. Um, yeah, not a rush process. Let it take the time it takes. You have a lot to go on with your messaging already.
Mhm.
And a lot, you know who you're talking to, you know the problems. You may not have that super deep root yet, but you'll get there because the
Okay.
message you have now will help you get those clients. And then you can go, I didn't like this client because of XYZ. I did like this client because of XYZ. And
Yeah.
just like, keeping track of those things.
Yep. Perfect.
Don't feel like you need to like figure this out right this second either. And your messaging also for everyone is always evolving. And as you get more and more clients, you go, oh, even within what I thought my subsection was, I can peel more away and peel more away. So like Haley and Logan, who have worked with tons of clients already, they have a pretty good understanding, but over time they're going to continue to peel away layers too. So um, you're not behind in
Yeah.
any way, just to be clear.
And that's why I told her, I was like, you're building that strong foundation. You've made the pivots. That's why we're tracking the data to figure out where are they coming from, what content is converting. We're looking at your emails to see what they're clicking on and what their job roles were. Remember, we did all that on our last call, is because
Yep.
that data will start to teach you that information, and then you're going to be like, I know exactly who it is.
Yep.
Amanda, thank you for this. Thank you for, I want you to do Yvonne's. Can I ask a favor though for Yvonne's? Would you mind recording it and putting it in the Facebook group so that the other girls can see? Because I think we're learning from each other. Like in this, even in this, we all had like light bulb moments. So I want to make sure Yvonne gets that same. And then I would love to have a kickoff, like one-on-one with just you and me to talk about what looks like what next things you could do to help them, or and that way I can share it with the girls, but also just talk chat with you about this process, see if there's anything I can help you with, you can help me with, because we're really grateful for your time. And also being able to come back in and re-explain to us and everything. Like, this was extremely helpful. And so we want to make sure we do a thank you for you for showing up for us too and providing your time and your resources. Because like you did go above and beyond. I didn't ask you to come back for the second time in this capacity. So I really am grateful for it. Um,
Happy to.
so if you don't mind doing Yvonne's a recorded one and just drop it into the group so she can see that today, would you have time to do it today?
Yep, I'll do it right now.
Okay, and then I will save this recording and upload it. And then if anybody has any other follow-up questions, I'll have the group open probably till Wednesday with you in there, Amanda, just so that way if Yvonne has questions and wants to give feedback, you can play into that. But otherwise, I think it was neat to see how it all came together, and I'm glad we left it off on this point because I
Yeah.
think that even for me, it helped me being like, oh my God, Haley, like, no, we need to keep leaning deeper into that. And okay, Jen, yeah, so we have the tracking that we're doing is working. Okay, Logan, this is the way we need to pivot your content that you're putting out. So I'm seeing the light bulb moments for sure. You guys agree?
Yeah, this was helpful. Thank you so much, Amanda, for your time.
Thank you
All
guys
right.
for
Well,
having
thank
me.
you guys. And I will be on the road for a couple hours. So if anybody wants to message me about the week, we can kick off the week together. And then otherwise, I've got coaching calls with some of you, and I will see some of you tomorrow. All
All right,
right.
it was so nice to meet
Bye.
all of
All
you.
right. Bye,
You
you
too.
guys.
Thanks.
Haley, we need to hear about your trip.
Yes. Oh, there's been a lot.
Okay.
I
Message us an update for the week.
Perfect.
Okay. Bye, guys. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.